It was raining again, like always. Not the gentle kind either. The sky cracked open with a steady downpour that soaked everything, including the cardboard boxes stacked behind the gas station across the street. I stood in the kitchen, watching the storm through the fogged-up window, trying to get the kids' dinner on the table before they started fighting again. That's when I saw him, just sitting there, hunched over, holding a half-empty carton of milk like it was precious. Hoodie soaked, head down, legs shaking. I almost ignored him. God knows I've got enough going on. But something about how still he was, it didn't sit right. I made a sandwich from whatever we had left, some old turkey slices and stale bread, and walked outside. My parents, who live in the same house, saw me through the living room window. I knew they'd start asking questions. They always do. "Hey," I said, holding the plate out under the porch light. "You hungry?" He looked up, surprised. Couldn't have been more than 25. Pale face, soft voice. He didn't say much, just nodded and took the food like he hadn't eaten in days. Said, "Thanks, Mom." Then he backed up into the shadows again like he didn't want to bother anyone. I came back inside and didn't even make it through the door before my mum started in. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" she snapped, arms crossed, mouth twisted like she smelled something bad. "He's just hungry. It's one sandwich," I said. My dad stood up from his recliner. "You brought a stranger near the kids. What kind of mother are you? He didn't even come inside." "Trash attracts trash," my mom hissed. "You've embarrassed us." Again. It spiraled fast. Voices raised. Kids scared. I tried to stand my ground, but my dad slammed the front door open and yelled, "Get out! Take your little charity case and leave. You and your damn brats." I was in shock. Rain hit my face as I carried my kids, their backpacks and blankets, to the car. I looked back once. The boy was gone, just vanished into the night. But that wasn't the last time I saw him. Not by a long shot. I first saw him outside the 7-Eleven, right after I picked up a few things for dinner. It was one of those heavy, miserable evenings. Sky bruised grey, gutters overflowing, wind cutting through even the thickest jackets. My youngest was crying in the back seat over a broken Happy Meal toy, and my head was pounding. That's when I spotted him. He was crouched by the side wall of the store, soaked through, arms wrapped around a half-empty gallon of milk like it was a lifeline, just staring at it, not drinking it, just holding it tight to his chest like it was the only thing keeping him warm. I almost walked past. God knows how many people I've had to ignore just to survive myself. But there was something off about this one. He didn't look high, didn't look drunk, just scared and cold. I cracked my window and called out, "Hey, you okay?" He didn't respond at first, just looked up with these pale, tired eyes and shook his head a little. I asked again, louder this time, "Do you need something?" He hesitated before answering, voice quiet, barely audible through the rain. "Just food, not money." That stopped me. He wasn't asking for cash or trying to sell me some lie. Just food. I told him to hang on and drove the 2 blocks back to my place. My parents wouldn't like it. They already hated that I had moved back in after my divorce. They said I was bringing shame with every breath I took. Still, I couldn't shake the image of that boy and the way he clutched that jug of milk like a kid holding onto a teddy bear. I grabbed some leftovers, chicken thighs, rice, half a biscuit, and packed it in a to-go container, told the kids to stay inside, and I waited until my parents had disappeared into the back room before stepping out onto the porch. He was there, walking slowly up the sidewalk like he wasn't sure if he should come closer. He stopped at the foot of the porch when he saw me holding the food. "I don't want trouble," he said quickly. "Just, thank you." "No trouble," I said. "You can eat here. It's dry at least." He took the food like it was gold, sat on the edge of the porch, still dripping, trying not to let his elbows touch the furniture. He kept thanking me over and over, barely meeting my eyes. That's when I saw movement behind the curtains. My mother, watching like a hawk, then my father, both glaring. I knew what they were thinking, probably that I was letting some addict near the house, that I was endangering the kids. I could already hear the fight brewing in their heads, but I didn't care. For once, I was doing something I could live with, even if I had no idea how much it was going to cost me. Growing up, my parents didn't raise me so much as train me, like a soldier. There were rules for everything: how to walk, how to sit, how to speak without sounding too emotional. Smiling too much made you look desperate. Crying was weakness. Showing kindness without permission, that was the biggest offense of all. I remember being 8, giving half my lunch to a girl who forgot hers. When I told my mum, proud of myself, she didn't even look at me, just calmly told me I'd embarrassed her by acting like we were charity cases. She made me go to school the next day with a note for the teacher saying I wasn't allowed to share my food anymore. I didn't even understand why until much later. My dad was worse. His love came in silent stares and questions designed to catch you lying. Why are your shoes scuffed? Why is your hair frizzy? What will the neighbours think if they see you looking like that? His favourite phrase was, "You represent this family. Don't make me ashamed." They were obsessed with appearances. Our lawn had to be perfect. Our clothes always clean and ironed. My mum went to church mostly for the social credit. If someone didn't show up with lipstick and heels, she'd whisper, "White trash." And now? Now I'm the failure. The single mum who married too young, got cheated on, and came crawling back home with 2 kids and no college degree. They let me stay because they couldn't just let me live in a shelter, but they reminded me every single day what a burden I was. My mother called my youngest, that screaming little one, when she thought I wasn't listening. My dad once said, "If you weren't so soft, maybe your husband wouldn't have left." They didn't love me. They loved what I was supposed to be. And when I showed any sign of thinking for myself, especially something as pointless as being nice to a stranger, they treated it like betrayal. So when I gave that sandwich to the boy in the rain, it wasn't just about food. It was about everything they tried to beat out of me, and the part of me that refused to die. The moment my father opened the door, I knew it was going to be bad. He didn't even step outside, just stood there, hands on his hips, eyes locked on the boy sitting quietly on our porch. My mum appeared behind him, clutching a dish towel like it was a weapon. "What the hell is this?" she snapped, pointing at the boy like he was some stray dog I'd let in the house. "He's just eating," I said, trying to stay calm. "I gave him food. That's it." "He's on our porch," my dad barked, "in front of your children. He's not hurting anyone. You brought a drifter around your kids." My mum cut in. "Are you trying to get them killed?" The boy froze, sandwich in hand, eyes wide. My kids peeked through the screen door behind me, confused, scared. My youngest clutched his toy against his chest like it could protect him. "He's just hungry," I said, louder now. "That's it. I gave him food because he needed it. What is wrong with that?" My father stepped forward. "You don't get to make that decision. Not under this roof. This is our home. You think you can bring some druggie into our yard and make us look like trash?" "He's not a druggie," I shot back. "He hasn't done anything but sit and eat." "You don't know what he's done," my mum hissed. "He's probably a criminal. You don't bring people like that near children." "He's a person," I said. "A person. And I'd rather my kids see kindness than whatever this is." That's when it happened. My father's hand came out of nowhere, fast, sharp, smacked the side of my face so hard I stumbled back against the door frame. The porch went silent. Even the rain felt quiet for a second. My kids screamed. The boy stood up like he wanted to say something, but my dad shouted, "Get out! Get out of this house now! You and your damn kids! Take your trash with you!" I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I just grabbed the kids and ran inside. My face burned, but I moved on instinct, threw clothes into grocery bags, grabbed school books, shoes, blankets. My hands shook the whole time. My daughter asked, "Where are we going, Mummy?" I didn't have an answer. We left through the back door. It was still pouring, cold, and miserable. My oldest held his sister's hand. I shoved what I could into the trunk of the car. The boy was gone, vanished into the storm like he was never there, and we were alone, homeless. That night felt like the longest of my life. The rain didn't let up, pounding against the car roof like it was mocking us. I parked behind a closed laundromat, trying to stay hidden. But even in the shadows, I felt exposed. Cold crept in through the windows. The kids were bundled in blankets, but it wasn't enough. My youngest started coughing, then shivering. I touched his forehead. It was burning up. I panicked. My hands trembled as I pulled out my phone, trying to find a shelter, a motel, anything. I called 3 places, all full. Another didn't answer. One told me they couldn't take kids under 10. I hung up mid-sentence. My voice cracked, and I didn't want my babies to hear me break. They were quiet in the back seat, curled up together. My daughter kept asking when we were going home. I told her soon. I lied. I got out of the car and just stood there in the rain, arms wrapped around myself, face tilted up. Maybe I hoped it would numb me. Maybe I hoped I'd wake up from it. Then the sobbing started. I didn't even hear it coming, just hit me out of nowhere. Big, ugly, shaking sobs that I tried to bite down but couldn't. I covered my mouth with my hand and leaned against the hood, crying into my palm so the kids wouldn't hear. That's when I heard a voice behind me. "Ma'am!" I spun around, startled, and there he was. The boy, the same soaked hoodie, the same quiet face, but now he looked more alert, more steady, his eyes locked onto mine like he'd been looking for me. "I've been trying to find you," he said. I blinked through the rain. "Why?" He took a step closer. "Because I owe you, and I think I can help." I didn't know what that meant. I didn't care. Someone had come back for us. In that moment, I didn't see a Milkboy or a stranger. I saw a lifeline. He waited until the kids were asleep in the back seat before he spoke again. I'd brought them a fresh blanket from the trunk, and he stood there, arms crossed, rain still dripping from his hood. It was late, the kind of hour where everything feels quieter than it should. "I didn't mean to get you in trouble," he said. I turned to look at him. "You didn't." They were waiting for any excuse. He hesitated, then reached into his jacket and pulled out something small, metal, and gleaming even under the dull streetlight. A badge. My breath caught. I stared at it for a few seconds, unsure if I was imagining things. He held it steady, like he'd done this 100 times before. "I'm not just some kid with a milk obsession," he said, a tired smile flickering. "I'm Detective Ellis Hayes. I've been working a case around here, undercover." That didn't make sense. "A case? What kind of case ends with you half-starved on someone's porch?" He gave a small shrug. "The kind that requires people not to notice you. I've been tracking a string of illegal operations. Fraud, bribes, money laundering. Most of it tied to land deals and zoning scams. You'd be surprised how often it leads back to people who look squeaky clean on the outside." I leaned against the car, trying to wrap my head around it. "And my parents?" "That's why I came back," he said. "I started digging after what happened, checked into the property records your dad's name is. Some of it didn't add up. Then I found out your mum sits on the board of a charity that hasn't filed taxes in years." My heart sank. I shouldn't have been surprised, but it still hurt. "They kicked you and your kids out like you were garbage," he said, voice low. "That's not just cruel, that's a red flag." "So, what now?" I asked, feeling overwhelmed. "I can't make everything better overnight," he said, "but I can help. I've got contacts at a women's legal clinic. They can help you find a place to stay, get you on a list for housing, maybe even help you get custody paperwork cleaned up if you need it." I stared at him for a long moment. "Why are you doing this?" He looked down at the ground. "Because I watched you do something decent when you didn't have to. And because people like your parents are used to getting away with everything." Then he looked up again, eyes steady. "I want to make sure they don't." Ellis didn't waste time. The morning after he found us, he brought coffee, muffins for the kids, and a list of questions. At first, I thought he was just being kind, but then I realized he was working, quietly, carefully, putting things together. He asked about the land my parents owned, the big lot outside town they never let anyone visit, the weird charity auctions my mum used to talk about at church, even the sudden renovation they paid for last year, in cash, without telling anyone where the money came from. I didn't have answers, just little pieces, but Ellis listened to every word, writing it all down like it mattered, and I could see something click in his head, like a puzzle finally starting to make sense. A few days later, he told me what he'd found. My parents weren't just controlling or cruel, they were dirty. Ellis had traced several fake non-profits connected to my mum's name, organisations that claimed to help veterans, children, widows, but they didn't file tax returns. They didn't have staff, just donation links and PO boxes that all pointed to shell accounts. My dad, it turned out, had been part of multiple shady land purchases, flipping properties that had been seized from families in debt, selling them back to dummy buyers for profit, all under the radar, all protected by a clean image. "They've built this reputation like armour," Ellis said, showing me files on his laptop. "They're the kind of people no one questions, the kind that hide behind handshakes and bake sale." I just sat there, stunned. Part of me wanted to scream. Another part wanted to laugh. All those years of being told I was the shame of the family. Meanwhile, they were stealing from the very people they pretended to help. Ellis looked at me. "If you hadn't fed me that night, I would have moved on. I was ready to give up on this lead. But what you did gave me a way in." I didn't know what to say. I wasn't used to being someone who helped. I was used to surviving. But now, for the first time, I was part of something bigger. And my parents, their time was running out. It happened on a Tuesday morning, just after 9. My mum was in her usual spot on the porch, wearing her pressed blouse and sipping tea from that chipped floral mug she always called her God cup. My dad was reading the paper, pretending the world still bowed to him. Everything about them looked calm, normal, perfect even. Then the black SUVs rolled up, 3 of them. No sirens, no shouting, just quiet authority. Men and women in jackets with Federal Financial Crimes Unit written across their backs stepped out, walking like they already owned the place. My mum stood up so fast her chair tipped over. My dad froze mid-sip. It was beautiful. The lead officer handed them both a thick stack of papers. My mum started yelling before she even read the first line. "This is a mistake! This is harassment!" My dad's face turned a shade I'd never seen, something between fury and pure panic. They didn't go down easy. My mum clutched her chest, swore she was having a heart attack. My dad tried to argue, told them he had friends in government, but none of it mattered. They were handcuffed on the porch while neighbours peeked out from behind curtains. I watched it all from a parked car across the street. Ellis sat beside me, calm as ever. "They're not going to prison today," he said, "but this starts the process. Fraud, wire transfers, fake charities, tax evasion. It was all in the file he gave them. Years of lies, buried under fake names and stolen goodwill. And now, exposed." The news spread fast. Within a day, the whispers began. People from church, old friends, neighbours, everyone talking. They always seemed too perfect. I always wondered where their money came from. The same people who used to fawn over my mum's cookies at bake sales now crossed the street to avoid her. The ones who praised my dad for his charity work now sent out thoughts and prayers on Facebook. And of course, my parents tried to pin it on me. They told reporters I was an ungrateful daughter, that I'd brought criminals into their home. My mum even cried during a phone interview, saying I'd betrayed the family, but no one bought it. Ellis made sure every document had backup. Every trail led straight to them. And when they realised I wasn't scared anymore, they went quiet. That porch, the one where I once stood humiliated, begging for a scrap of kindness, was now a crime scene. Funny how quickly the world changes when the truth finally gets a spotlight. I found her sitting alone at the back of a church that no longer held sermons. She looked older, sharper around the edges. Her hair was darker now, her eyes tired. She didn't recognise me when I sat beside her. "I thought you were dead," she said softly, not turning to look. "I was," I replied. She turned then, eyes wide, mouth half open like she couldn't decide whether to scream or run. I took off the wig, let her see me, truly see me, for the first time in 7 years. She touched my face like she was testing if I was real. "You look different." "So do you." We didn't hug right away. There was too much between us. Silence filled the space for a while, thick and heavy. She asked how I'd survived. I asked how she had. She told me about pretending not to hear things, keeping her head down, faking smiles, how she used to whisper into her pillow at night, hoping I'd hear her somehow. "I kept your journal," I said. "It saved my life." She smiled, just barely. "I didn't know if you got it." "I did. And now I need to show you something." We drove an hour to the edge of the county, an old cemetery, mostly overgrown. One grave stood out, newer than the rest, with fake flowers around it. Eliza's name was carved into the stone. No body, just a date and a lie. My sister knelt down. She was just a kid. So were we. She started crying then, quiet, like she'd learned not to make noise when it hurt. I sat beside her. "You don't have to stay in that town. You don't owe them anything." She looked up. "What would we even do? Whatever we want. We can disappear, start over, or we fight. We take every piece of what they tried to build and tear it down." She didn't answer right away, just stared at the headstone. Finally, she said, "I want to burn it all." I smiled. Good, because I already lit the match. The courtroom was colder than I expected. I stood at the front, wearing black. No wig, no disguise. Just me. My real name printed on the witness list for the first time in 7 years. People in the crowd whispered as I stepped up. Reporters scribbled. My mother didn't look at me. My father stared like he was trying to see through me. I stared right back. The judge asked me to state my name for the record. I said it loud and clear. Then I told the truth. I told them how I was sold, how they called it a marriage but never asked what I wanted, how they let a man with dead wives put a ring on my finger, how they cashed in when I vanished. I told them about Eliza, about the girl before her and the girl after. I showed the recordings, the journal, the documents with forged signatures and fake bank accounts. I played the clip where my father bragged about cleaning up family messes. Everyone heard it. No one looked away. My sister sat in the front row. She didn't cry. She didn't flinch. She was stronger than me in some ways. My parents said nothing. Their lawyers tried to paint me as unstable, a runaway, a liar. But the internet already knew the truth. The jury didn't take long. My mother got 5 years. My father got 14. Kenneth, he pled out. 20 years minimum. No chance of parole. I didn't wait for sentencing. I left before the final words. I didn't want closure. I wanted control. That night, I posted everything online. The whole story, from start to finish. No names, no location, just facts. I posted it as The Girl Who Didn't Die. It went viral within hours. Hashtag, podcasts, news specials. Girls wrote me messages, some of them real, some just wanting to be heard. People offered money, interviews, deals. I ignored them all. I bought a ticket to nowhere. A bus headed west, name under an alias again. One bag, no goodbye. This time, I disappeared because I wanted to, not because I had to. I didn't leave to hide. I left because I'd said what needed to be said, and they all heard me.